With the end of the war in sight, the president had sent me as his confidant to discuss a rather tricky subject: what to do with captured Nazi leaders.
What was Churchill's opinion?
He said they should be summarily shot for crimes against humanity. What's your opinion?
Well, I think if it's a crime for the Nazis to shoot people without a trial, how could it be less so for us to do the same thing?
That's Truman's feeling exactly. And Churchill now shares that view. Surprisingly enough, so does Stalin.
You're talking about a war crimes trial, which they attempted after the last war and it completely unraveled.
Because it had no weight. But this will be an international tribunal comprised of the four powers: America, England, France, and Russia. President Truman wants the best prosecutor in the country, one with a reputation for being tough, but impartial. He wants you, Bob.
I haven't prosecuted a case in years.
President Roosevelt chose you for the Supreme Court because of your integrity as a prosecutor. That's why Truman has picked you for this, because he wants a fair trial, not a legal lynching.
I like it right here, Sam. I mean, this would mean I would have to step down.
Temporary leave of absence. You'll be back in 6 months, maybe 7.
Is the president aware of the fact that I'm completely opposed to the death penalty?
Yes, he's not concerned because he knows you'll do whatever is right.
As you know, a fair trial means an uncertain outcome. If we don't prove the defendant's guilt, we'd have to let them walk, even if we could smell the blood on their hands. Do the Allied powers understand that?
Well, Truman does. You'll have a chance to make it clear to them. The trial is yours to create, Bob. You get to set the rules. Hire the staff, find the setting. You even get to pick the defendants. This trial could unravel, too, like the last attempt, if it is poorly planned, if it is unsound legally or morally.
Poor old Justice Robert H. Jackson, the chief American prosecutor, came to a rather sticky end. He died in the Sherborne Hotel in Washington, naked in the arms of a prostitute. A very sad fate. He didn't even have the apocryphal smile on his lips at the time. In fact, he was not even recognized for whom he was. They carried his naked body, therefore, down, the hotel staff, rather embarrassed by this episode, and put it down on the back seat of an empty cab standing outside the front of the hotel for the cab driver to find. I traced his son, Bill Jackson, who was a lawyer in a very famous firm of lawyers in New York, and you can imagine the kind of conversation I had to conduct with the son to ask him whether the details of his father's death, as known to me, were in fact true, and in fact they were true. He subsequently confirmed it to me. Poor old Justice Jackson, that's the only bad thing I'm going to say about him this evening, because, in fact, although I went into the research on the Nuremberg case with the belief that he was an American lawyer bastard, and I got very little time to spare for lawyers, but Justice Jackson, he was one of those rare, he's not rare, in fact, he's your typical naive, childish, innocent, upright, honest, wide-open, blue-eyed American. He hadn't an ounce of malice in his soul. He was born on February the 13th, 1892. He didn't have any formal legal training. He never actually got his doctor's degree as a lawyer. He started practicing law before the law courts of Pennsylvania without actually having qualifications to appear before the bar there. But he was so successful there, representing, for example, trades unionists in famous union actions in the 1920s and the 1930s, that he very rapidly became a successful and very famous lawyer. And he became chief legal advisor to none other than Henry Morgenthau Jr. in the U.S. Treasury Department. And there he attracted the attention first of President Roosevelt and then of President Truman. And it was President Truman who gave to Jackson the job in April and May 1945 of investigating the possibility of putting the war criminals on trial.